The beginning of this year, we traveled to Boston in January to visit our son and his family. And then in February, we did a dream cruise around South America. It was fabulous. And then in March, we went to Florida for a learning event from Nature Sunshine. And during that time, COVID was building momentum. When we got home, we learned the schools had been closed, that everybody was supposed to stay home, stay safe, and the lockdown began, and it just got worse from there. So I won't elaborate on my views on this, but the purpose of these September classes is to help prepare for next year, so that the same issues won't happen. Normally, I buy my seeds from a seed catalog. I look forward to them coming in January, and I browse through them. I order the seeds, they come, I plant them in little cups, and it's just a very wonderful time to spend when the winter is so long. You look forward to every little sprout. But this year was totally different. Everywhere I would normally get seeds was not available. Seed online were totally sold out. We couldn't go to nurseries. We couldn't go to the store. We were requested to stay home. So it was extremely difficult, and I made it a vow that that would not happen next year. So my name is Mary Bourne. I'm a traditional naturopath, and I love sharing natural remedies with people for better health. Natural remedies have been around for thousands of years because they work. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope that you like this video. Give me a thumbs up and share it with others. Comment. I love hearing from you. So if you subscribe and click on the little bell, you'll be notified each time that I put up a new video, which is about once a week. So I don't know the best I'm not the best with growing from seed. I like to see it. Sometimes they get too leggy, but I totally enjoy plants. So I was pretty heartbroken when the farmers market couldn't open and the nurseries were closed, and it was really late in the season when I finally was able to put my garden together. If you're from Michigan or another state where the lockdown was to include these things, then you might be feeling my pain. So by June, I was in a frenzy, and I called up a friend of mine who I buy from. We're good friends at the farmer's market, and she has this incredible acreage of nursery where I said to her, can I go, and can I not wear a mask so that I can breathe in the smell and the energy of these plants? And she said, come, there's nobody around. Come pick out some plants, take them home. Well, my husband and I filled our car with plants, and I was energized. It fed my soul. So, you know, even Lowe's couldn't sell plants. So I'm so grateful for her sharing her greenhouse with me and seeing my need. I just got so into smelling and seeing all these wonderful plants. So I could lament the whole time of the class, but I want to relate some of the, I'm sure that you have your own stories of lockdown that may even be much worse than mine, but I want to share with you because there are things that I did this year that was different from any other year. I used to have a huge garden that was tiered, and it seems like I spent the entire summer weeding. And so I have energized my gardening love again because of some of the choices we made. So I'm going to share that with you in just a minute, but I want to talk about seeds. Seeds are packed with all the nutrition you need to grow, even in the right environment. They're protected by a layer called a seed coat, and that needs to remain dry until it is ready to be planted. So I want to pause here for a minute because we're very much like seeds. We have a coating called the skin that protects us from some of the injuries that could occur, and it stops the invasion of certain microbes that would be harmful, unless the skin is damaged. There are a lot of things that damage skin, and chemicals are one of them. Being too harsh, not taking in the right nutrients that protect the skin is another thing. So, and our pH has our skin has a certain pH, just like the seeds have a certain coating. That coating can be considered our pH. And if that pH goes too much out of range, it will affect the ability for the skin to protect us. Just as in a seed, if the seed is wet, you know, if it's dried and that seed coating gets hard and gets it protected, and then all of a sudden it gets wet, that opens the seed up. It's giving it the message that it's time to grow. And so you want to keep your seeds dry. Now, some of the seeds, like these, are pepper seeds. You can simply dry, put in a packet, label it, and put it in a dark place or in your freezer until it's time to plant it. But seeds like tomatoes are different. Now, in my garden, I planted 4 different types of tomatoes in this one area. And that area happens to be where my green beans are. So when I'm picking green beans, I love to just snack on these little gold nugget tomatoes. They are super delicious. So next year, I want to be able to plant these. I don't want to run around in a frenzy trying to find these particular seeds. So I went online and I found out how exactly do you work with tomato seeds? How do you seed save tomato seeds? And I found out that you squeeze them, let the pulp and the seed, which has a little gel sac around it, and put it in a jar, and then fill the jar with water. And that's called fermenting the seed. Now, it's sort of a fermentation, but what it really is doing is removing that gel, that protective layer that in the tomato, you don't want it to sprout. But later on, you want to be able to save this and sprout it. So each morning and each evening, you shake it, stir it around, and in about 4 days, most of the seeds will fall to the bottom, and then those are strained out, and you get all the, if there's any more pulp, you just squish them through the strainer, and the seeds are left in the strainer. And then you dump them out onto a paper plate and out so none are touching. It really isn't difficult. it takes about a half a second each morning to do this. And then you let them dry. Now, if you're in an area where you're afraid, like something might get into them, you can slip the paper plate into those mesh veggie bags that you get when you go grocery shopping, that you bring with you to put your veggies in. And that will keep anything away from the seeds until they're dry. Then you simply do the same thing. You put them in a plastic baggie and label the baggie and put it in a dark, cool place. And that will make sure that you have the seeds you want for next year. And if you've grown them already, chances are you're going to be able to do better with them. Now, the only thing that is different from that is if you have plants that are not heirloom and non-GMO, because GMO plants, genetically modified plants, are geared not to grow again. So you want to make sure that the top quality plant is where you get your seeds. Now, you can do the same thing with peppers or other fruit or veggies that you get, cucumbers, if you buy organic from the grocery store. I really like this. Like in cucumbers, you got to scrape out the pulp. That one isn't as like a tomato where you have to ferment it, but you do have to put it through the strainer and rinse it really well. Now, I'm going to leave some links in the description below for where I learned how to do most of this and where I feel like you can get some really good quality seeds. If there's one particular site that I really like, it's called MiGardner, and that's the YouTube. It's got lots of tips. The MiGardner.com, there's lots of seeds available, and some of them are even for 99 cents. You can get a ton of seeds for just 99 cents of a lot of really wonderful things like lettuce and that. So if you want to get seeds, I would suggest that you order them now, put your name on the list, and make sure that your list is ahead of the game, so to speak, because it will be first come, first serve. And I don't see that it's going to be any better next year as far as finding seeds. In fact, there are a lot more people doing gardening, way more than there have been in the past, because people are recognizing that they need to be prepared, just as you do because you are watching this video. And so it would be a good thing to spend a few minutes and go to the different websites that sell heirloom seeds and put your order in for next year. I did not have to put any money down for the order of seeds. I just had to put my name in. I did order some seeds that were available, like lettuce and kohlrabi and a couple of the plants that don't take a lot of time. And so I want to show you my garden. This is my raised bed garden, and I do what's called companion planting. And so in here, there are 4 different types of tomatoes. There's one way down here, and then right in here are the little gold nugget tomatoes that I just shared with you. I have green beans, I have celery, I have Swiss chard, lettuce, basil, kale, nasturtium. You can kind of see those, right? The bright orange. Green onions and marigold and kale over here. So for the 2 of us, this was perfect. Now each section is 4 by 2, and you put compost and healthy dirt in there. I keep adding to the compost. I will squash up and put different things in, keep the soil energized. Even Epsom salts around that is very good. But you can see, because it's so chock full of plants, there's no space for the weeds to grow. And in the fall, when this bed is done, I will put cardboard on it to protect it from anything, any seeds that may be flying in the air in the autumn season. And it will keep the beds nice and clean for next year when I want to plant. Now over here, you'll see I have used these grow bags. Very, very pleased with the grow bags. And we used, this is cattle panel, and it is shaped like a hoop. You bring a 17-foot panel and you bring it down and you create a hoop out of it. And you can either use 1 or 2 stakes on each side to hold the panel taut. And these are beans growing up on it. You can see I have tomatoes growing, basil. I had broccoli growing in this pot, and it didn't do well. Broccoli does not like a lot of heat, and we had some extremely hot 90-degree weather. So I took out the broccoli, and I have now carrots and flat parsley growing in there. You can see my cauliflower growing here. I have a pepper plant. I also grew spaghetti squash with minimum success. I did get some very small fruit from it, but they matured, but they were only this small. And I've had several meals of spaghetti squash, which is okay because my husband's not a fan. Yeah, I had zucchini that didn't do well, so I believe it's the year, because I've heard from other farmers that it's been a difficult year. We never know what is going to grow well. So don't judge the success of your plants by the plant itself. It may be extenuating circumstances. Grow bags are fabulous. If you just have a deck and you don't have a yard, they're wonderful. You can grow tomatoes and cucumbers and all kinds of things. You might have to put a pyramid type thing up for the cucumbers to crawl up on, but they are wonderful. I've seen videos where people actually grew personal watermelons in these grow bags. So look into those. They're a great way to create a garden, even if you don't have a yard. So some of the other YouTube channels that I watch is a homesteader couple called Living Traditions Homestead, and they're wonderful. They have wonderful tips. They've been homesteading for several years. They actually were raised doing homesteading, then they went and they got regular jobs, and then they decided they didn't like the regular job thing, and they bought a homestead, and they've been doing some really great videos and some wonderful tips on the do's and don'ts of gardening. And they have pigs and chickens and ducks, and they have a cow. And even though I'm not going to get into that, I find it interesting how loving they are toward these animals, and then they're able to slaughter them and have the meat. So you can look online for different things, but I will put the links to in the description below for these people. Another channel that I watch a lot of times is, oh, what is her name? Mary's Nest. Now, Mary's Nest also has a website where she has a blog, but her videos are quite entertaining. And her main thing is to help people to move from a traditional or from a prepared, boxed, non-nutritional based kitchen to a traditional dense food type kitchen. And how you can ease into that. But she has started a great 3-week series where she calls Learning to be a Prepper. And this is her word for being prepared. And she gives you a list of how you can integrate preparing for emergencies. Now, you never know. How did we know that this, excuse me a minute, that we would be locked down for 5 months, that we would be limited and unprepared for this particular thing? I've taught classes on preparation, emergency preparation, of having on hand different things when you could not get to the drugstore, or things were out, or medications weren't available. So I'm going to integrate some of that into my future classes in September to help people to feel more secure about what they're doing and how to be more prepared. So seed saving is one way I feel is a great way to be prepared. I will feel confident that I can grow some food next year and we won't starve. And I am preparing food right now to put in my pantry to have through the winter months, and even I usually do a year's supply of like tomatoes and jams, and we love what we call dilly green beans. And but we're going to add to this plethora of food. I've already put up some peaches for some sweet treats, but think about the foods you like to eat and how you can prepare to have them on hand. Now, I don't mean to hoard bags of cookies and those type of things. I'm talking about nutritious food that you and your family can feel satisfied and have good energy and good health. So when you're putting these food seeds away, you read about it. Go on to the different links that I will attach in the description and see what the best way to store them, and perhaps buy some seeds from the MiGardner or some organic seed place that you like. Watching seeds grow is really important for children to learn the value of life, to see how a seed can emerge, and it actually looks like a bean seed will uncurl itself and open up, and it's just amazing to see the life energy in the seeds. Now each seed has what it needs to start life. You need to just give it some soil, some water, and it is there. Now, in the wintertime, my husband is the gardener. He actually will soak seeds and we'll have sprouted seeds. And we love that because in the winter, it's really hard to get fresh, raw food. And a lovely salad with some sprouted radish seeds, broccoli seeds, even alfalfa seeds is a real treat. And you can get so many of these sprouts from just a half a teaspoon of seeds. It's really amazing. It'll fill a quart jar. So, and in no time, it really doesn't take much time to do that. So there are many ways that you can be working toward eating healthier, and sprouts are definitely one way of being prepared. So you can buy seeds to sprout right now and have some raw food during the winter months, along with the food that you cook, and a lovely stew or some broth. The Mary's Nest has some great tips on making bone broth, which is a very healthy broth that you can use anytime that you want a soup starter. Or I like to put some in ice cube trays, and anytime I'm going to saute something, I add the broth just to give it more nutrition. So I hope that this video has been helpful for you, maybe made you aware of the importance of being prepared. Stocking up helps you feel secure, but hoarding makes you insecure. You're using up space unnecessarily. And so use the space you have wisely. Sometimes it might be under a bed. So, if you have a very small apartment, you need to look for places where you could be, in the back of a closet, or different things spaces that you can use to share, to store your food. So I learned that just recently that just as seeds were sold out in the spring, people now are scooping up canning supplies, and they're running low. So keep an eye out. If you're going to be doing some canning this fall, make sure that you have your supplies ahead of time. Don't be disappointed. It's always wise to have these things on hand. I like to even buy 6 months ahead of time. I do have some downstairs, but I don't have enough to take me through all my canning. So I've ordered some canning lids. Amazon was out, but you could go to Ball Direct, and they still had some. So I hope you like and share these videos so that other people can learn to use natural remedies that are safe and effective. And you look for other topics on my YouTube channel. Like I said, if you subscribe and click on the little bell, you'll be notified each time I put a new video up. And please like and share. Comment. I love to hear from you. And if you have personal issues, please jot down or take a screenshot of my website and my email and email me. So keep focusing on gratitude. Don't forget to be mindful of all the wonderful people in your life, the gifts of nature, the flower, the joy all around you. And thank you for viewing. And until next time, this is Dr. Mary for the health of it.